what I do best is finding the deal and knowing what strategy is going to work on that deal and how we're going to make all of our money back so we end up with a property for free. That's what I specialize in. Our journey has just exploded. Compared to today's generation, I'm an encyclopedia of knowledge. Samuel Leeds Academy. It is the best place to learn about property.
Hello and welcome to the Self-Unemployed Podcast, where we talk about the journey to financial independence and becoming self-unemployed. My guest today is Billy Kooner, who is a property investor who has a lot of experience with lots of different strategies. So, Billy, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Colin.
How's it going? So, was that you were saying that your dad bought his first property in 1978?
Yeah, so in 1978, he bought his first property. I was 6 years old at the time. So kind of like all my childhood years have been around property. And the strategy my dad was doing at the time was 4-bedroom HMOs for students, Wolverhampton. It was Polytechnic back then. So yeah, that's how the journey started. So I grew up around it.
Awesome. Yeah, well, we'll get into that. But so let's just quickly, if you can just quickly say, what are you doing now?
Now, after joining the academy, I learned all the various strategies plus some more, and our journey has just exploded. It's like what's that athletic drug that really boosts you and puts you in hyperdrive?
I don't know.
You don't know
ecstasy?
your drugs. Something like that.
Yeah.
It's the journey's just it's become another beast.
So it sort of opened your eyes. Your eyes were open to a whole different type of income streams and things. Because a lot of people, I mean, when you watch TV, there's a lot of property stuff, but it's all just like buy to let or flips. Yeah. And that's what most people think property investing is. But really, there's a lot of other, well, not a lot of other strategies, but there are other strategies that are much better, but much less known about.
There's so many. There's so many things. I mean, like property is such a massive topic.
Yeah.
Buy-to-let is, even though buy-to-let is a big subsection of property, but it's not the best strategy. I personally don't touch buy-to-let properties anymore. And my personal portfolio of properties that I had before I joined the academy are all slowly being changed either into HMOs, which is what they used to be in 1998. So I'm slowly changing them back to HMOs. And then some of the other smaller ones, I'm changing them to serviced accommodation. Because who wants the headache of tenants?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially the way the laws are changing.
Yeah, 100%. The government are doing you no favours.
No, it's like they don't want...
They don't want landlords.
We've got a massive housing shortage,
but
they're passing laws that are just going to mean there's fewer and fewer houses. When we've got a massive shortage. It's so dumb.
See, the thing is, Colin, a lot of people will still do buy-to-let because that's all they know.
Exactly.
They don't know any of the strategies, so they're going to carry on doing that. They're going to carry on being pounded by tenants and legislation. The new renters reform bill, which is coming out this year, I think. And there's no motivation. Section 20, what was that tax section where you can't claim
24.
Section 24.
Yeah.
So the benefits of claiming back your mortgage payments, that's gone.
Yeah. Well, that's not a benefit. I mean, every business can claim back its costs against its profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're a landlord with a mortgage.
You're paying massive amounts of tax and costs. And if you end up getting a bad tenant, they're going to wreck your property. You can't evict them. So you have to now go to court. So you're losing money because they stopped paying you rent. Now you got solicitors' fees, court fees, and maybe 8 months, of the process, 6 to 8 months of process going through the legal system. You get the property back. Now you got to spend 10, 15 grand renovating it for the next tenants to come in and start the process all over again. I mean, obviously it doesn't happen to every landlord. Some landlords, go through their journey without ever having a problem. But there's a lot of people out there who do have problems with tenants, and there's no protection for you.
Yeah, and if you're serious about it and you want to do multiple properties, you continue growing your portfolio. Although it's rare in one sense, it's inevitable that it will happen if you are growing your portfolio and doing it for the long term.
Especially if you're doing buy-to-let strategy and you're renting out to families, or it's sad because at the end of the day, if you have investors like me and people off the academy and stuff, we're not giving our properties to families.
Yeah.
So who ends up losing? Families. And all this legislation comes out to protect the families.
But they don't think it through.
They don't think it through. So if I am a full-time... So don't get me wrong, you'll have people who still got their full-time job and they just, as a side investment, they're a part-time landlord. These legislations are really bad for them. But people who are full-time in property and they're doing this 7 days a week, and you're utilizing other strategies, it's not going to affect you so much because we just shift to a more profitable strategy. 'Cause that's our business. That's what we do. But if you're a part-time landlord, yeah, mate, it's tough for you. I feel for you.
So let's go back a bit. You said that your father bought his first property in 1978 when you were 6 years old, and you were he got you involved. In fact, he almost needed you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
By the time I was like 10, 11, I was going with him to see the accountants, see the solicitors, mortgage brokers. We found out very quickly that you can't get a mortgage to buy a second home in late 70s, early 80s. There was no such thing as buy-to-let mortgages. That didn't come out till, I think, early 90s or late 80s, something like that. So we had to have commercial bank loans. And I remember at the time we were paying like 9% for a commercial loan. But it was still a profitable venture because, I think back then he was buying houses for like $4,000. These houses are like £200,000 today.
Yeah.
£4,000 we were paying for these in the late 70s, early 80s. So I saw all that process, and my job as a translator was just to ask for bank loans and speak to accountants, solicitors, and everybody else that's in the middle of the process of buying properties.
Yeah. So your father, English wasn't his first language.
Wasn't his first language, no.
Were you born here?
I was born here.
So so English is your first language, but you helped your dad out with the language side of things, right from 10 years old.
Yeah, about 10, 11, something like that. Yeah.
Wow. So
because I didn't think about these things until only a few years ago. Once we joined the academy, and people asking me like, when did you start? I'm like, well, when did I start? Because officially, I didn't buy my first investment property till I was 25, 26. But from the age of 20 to 25, I was running 2-3 different businesses because I knew that you needed money to put down 25% to buy a house, and you're not going to do that in a job. So I knew that the first thing to do is to make money, and the best way to make money is to be self-employed, have a business. In my family, people had convenience stores and chip shops and news agents, so let's do that. Okay. So the first 5 years, we were building up that business side, and that was the cash flow.
That was with your father as well?
Yeah. So we were building up the cash flow to start investing in property. So it took me 5 years, from the age of 20 to 25, to get my first investment property. Yeah, that's how my journey started.
And that, so you say your own.
Right.
Of your
so
own.
I was saying, so when people ask me when does my journey start, so okay, does it start at 25 when I got my first investment, or does it start at 20 when I had my first business, or does it start at the age of 10 when I was going around with my dad? And once the students moved out, I would go in like black bin liners, clear all the rubbish out, tidy the garden up, clean the house, the kitchen. If you needed a lick of paint, give it a lick of paint. And I was doing all this at a very, very young age.
Yeah.
But you don't realize at the time what you're learning and how valuable it is. So again, it was only until I joined the academy and people started asking me questions, and then I realized that, holy shit, I know a lot about property. I didn't think I knew that much about property, but compared to today's generation, I'm an encyclopedia of knowledge.
So it's reminding, talking about, working from a young age, and presumably you weren't really getting paid.
Of course not.
No.
Indian families don't pay their children.
Right.
I don't pay my daughter any money. She works for free.
Right. So, but it reminds me of Rich Dad Poor Dad.
But yeah, and saying that, if I paid her a wage, or if my dad paid me a wage, then it's a job.
Yes. And then they want to
We
switch
don't
off.
want to get into that mentality of having a job. So
This is
leads on to-
exactly
yeah.
what Robert Kiyosaki in the book Rich Dad Poor Dad talks about, and how his rich dad educated him. And so it sounds like you had a rich dad, or at least in mindset.
Yes, in mindset, rich, and just generally Asians are quite tight with their money. We don't do put the bins out, here's £5. It's put the bins out, or you get a slap around the ear roll. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And I still go with this philosophy today. Simon, if you don't do as you're told, you're going to get a slap around the ear roll. She doesn't like it, but
No, she's
it's a good. I know it's a good strategy.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you got your first property at 25, your first own property.
Yeah.
Where did it go from then? But were you still doing other businesses, other work?
So from 1991 up until about 2000, we had the chip shops, the convenience stores, the off license news agents, all that kind of stuff. That was our cash flowing business. And that first property I bought in North Wales in Rhyl, we got a European grant to convert it from, I think it was like an 8-bed HMO at the time, and we converted it to 4 self-contained apartments. European grant paid for most of it. I put in about 20 odd grand at the time. We're renting it out. I'm self-managing. I thought I knew more than most. I was a bit cocky, maybe. That house ended up burning down. Because HMOs in the late 90s wasn't like today.
No.
They were bed sits. It was like the bottom echelon of society are living in a HMO. Today you've got blue collar HMOs, white collar HMOs, really posh buildings, luxury living as HMOs. But back then you're dealing with the bottom echelons of society. People who are on the dole, that the jobless, they've got alcohol problems, drug problems, homeless.
And it was very unregulated,
Very unregulated. And so I had this one guy, he ended up burning the house down. Insurance didn't pay out. We lost a lot of money on that. I, obviously, as a young man, lost a lot of sleep over it. Went to the doctors and told him what was going on. He asked me a couple of questions, like, what's happening in your personal life? I told him I had this property, it burnt down. I'm losing sleep over it. So he gave me some medication. And I looked and I thought, this is an antidepressant. Well, that got crunched up and went straight in the bin. And sold the house about maybe 6 to 8 weeks later. Money came in the bank. I think I had about 10 grand cash coming back after I paid the bank loan off. And even that actually was with a commercial bank loan. I didn't have a mortgage on that. Commercial bank loan with Barclays. 10 grand came back into my account, and the same week did loads of viewings, and I bought a 3-bedroom semi-detached house in Wolverhampton. I thought, right, I'm going to buy a property on my doorstep. I can keep an eye on it. Still got that property today. I bought it for 35,000. Today's worth about 220.
How much your favourite? 35,000.
35,000. I paid for that one. That was in 2000, 2001, 2002, something like that.
Yeah, but at this point you're still doing the old-fashioned buy-to-let.
Yeah. So I'm still grafting, working 7 days a week, saving up my 25% deposit to get the next one, and that's how the journey started.
But back then, was it different? Because could you cash? Because nowadays you can't, with the higher interest rates and fees and so many things you have to pay for, selective licensing, all that sort of thing. It's very difficult to get a decent amount of cash flow from a buy-to-let, or if any. And so most people who do it have a very long-term view, and they're just thinking about the capital appreciation. Hopefully you refinance after a few years, and hopefully the price has gone up and they'll be able to get some more money out. So they're not really thinking about cash flow as long as it covers the mortgage and the costs. Was it like that then, or could you get cash flow out of it?
Yeah, so in 2000, once we were on this estate, we had the convenience store and the chip shop and everything. You get to know all the families on the estate. You know the uncles, the aunties, the mums, dads. You know the whole family. So around that time, people were, when anybody had a problem and they were going to sell a house, they would come to me and my brother and say, look, I've got this house, I'm going through a divorce, or my parents have died, I heard you guys buy property, do you want to buy it? And so we would pick up properties really cheap on that estate, direct to vendor, below market value. And I remember saying to my brother one time, a property came to us and it was £105,000. The value of the property was about 102. And I said to him, it doesn't matter about the £3,000 because you're never going to sell it. In 10 years, it's going to double. And if you look back today, that property's worth 200,000.
Yeah.
He paid 105 for it. It was only worth 102 on the day. But in the grand scheme of things,
Yeah.
and if you wait long enough for a long enough period, you're going to make money. And even in 2000s, like crazy things, I would say to everyone, all my friends and family members, like, if you have a buy-to-let mortgage, do it interest only. Why are you having a repayment mortgage? It doesn't make sense. You've got no cash flow. And the answer they would say is, well, we just want to pay the debt off, and then we'll have the cash flow in 15, 20 years' time. And my understanding was, well, if you had an interest-only mortgage, you're going to have a net profit of 250 to 350, depending on the property and the rent. You got cash flow coming in. The money that you're saving, you just buy another house.
Yeah.
And buy another house, and buy another house. Now you've got 3-4 properties going up in value. Instead of, okay, you're going to pay the mortgage off and you've only got one house going up in value.
Yeah.
And you're making £0 in the process. And who are you doing that for? You're doing that for your kids. Why?
Yeah, so you're teaching them about leverage.
But if you're just paying off houses so that when you pass away, your children get an unencumbered property with no mortgage, you're spoiling them. Where are they going to learn the ethics of hard work? And through my journey, I'm 52 now, I've seen kids get spoiled. They're on drugs, they're on alcohol. They end up doing, short stints in jail for something minor. But because they've been spoiled. The parents are busy working, handing everything on a plate. I'm totally against that as a parenting standpoint. Don't spoil your kids. You got to make them work.
Yeah.
Now, my daughters, they worked in the chip shop from the age of 13. They got paid a wage at that time. And that was so that they would understand the value of money, what it takes to earn £1, how you're going to save that money, what are you going to spend that money on. And, within a couple of weeks of working, they weren't there kicking and screaming. But after a couple of weeks of working, they had 60 quid in their back pocket. They were getting paid £30 a day. Suddenly they were the rich child in their group of friends. They had money to go for a coffee. They had money to go to a cinema. They had money to go to Primark and buy some cheap clothes. Everybody else is broke.
They learned the value of hard work.
Yeah, they learned the value of hard work.
But it's hard because that's almost sort of controversial these days to put your kids to work. And, it's almost illegal.
There is nothing wrong with child labour if it's your own child.
Right. Yes, because you're going to make sure they're looked after.
Of course. I mean, they're my children. It's up to me to teach them about money, the ethics of money, how to make money, the value of money.
Yeah.
And if I don't teach them that, who is? The government? Schools?
Yeah, and I had a job. I had a paper round when I was young, but people just don't. That doesn't seem to be a thing these days. It's like people don't actually earn any money until they're. I mean, some do, but it's far fewer people actually earn money until they're much in their 20s.
Yeah.
It's.
I mean, kids now, they can't afford to buy a property. The average wage is what? 30 grand, 33,000.
Yeah.
What are you going to buy with that?
Yeah.
Even if you're a single person and if you get 4x your income, so that's 3, 6, 9, 12, you maybe buy a property for 120 to 130,000. What kind of property are you going to get for that price? It's going to be a flat.
Well, there are places where you can buy a property, but that might be not be the place where they want to live.
Yeah, the arse end of the country. Who wants to live in Grimsby? No offense, Grimsby. I'm sure it's lovely.
Yeah.
But places like Grimsby, there's no capital appreciation. There's a reason these properties are 50 grand, and they're going to be 50 grand 5-10 years from now as well. They might go up, 5-10 grand, but it's not the same as... So the Midlands, I find the Midlands, it's a Goldilocks area. So in London, property prices go massively up in value.
Yeah.
And right now, property prices are dropping massively in London. A lot of apartments in negative equity. People who were bought 2 years ago, they're in negative equity, struggling to sell. So if you're in London, that's the best place to pick up lease options right now.
Because of the negative
equity. But if you're in the Midlands, it doesn't grow too fast, and it's not like the North where it grows too slow. It's the Goldilocks area.
Right.
It's an amazing place to invest, the Midlands.
Yeah, because I've got a couple of properties in the Northeast, and yeah, the price has been pretty steady since the 2008 crash.
What did you pay for it?
Well, the last one I paid 30,000, but it was a wreck, so I spent another 30 on it. So I'm all in for about 62,000.
What's it worth today?
Had it valued about 65, so I haven't done brilliantly on that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be cash flowing a little bit. So I'm not too, it's okay. But
it's a learning process, isn't it?
Yeah, and I agreed to sort of the ball was already rolling on that deal before I joined the academy. So I think if I had gone through the education that I have now, I wouldn't be looking. I'm not now looking for deals like that. It's even me a year ago, or not a little over a year ago, I still had that old mindset of, buy to let being how you invest in property. I'd heard of service accommodation and Airbnb and stuff, but when you don't know, you assume that that's going to be a lot of work because you're going to have guests staying for a night or two, and then you're going to have to go in and get cleaners and stuff like that, and that sounds like a lot of work. People don't realize that all that can be automated and systemized.
Yeah. Education's so important. Without education, you only know one strategy, which is your buy-to-let.
Yeah.
And you'll hear landlord, I've been in the property for 25 years. I know how but you know one strategy. And there's a dozen out there that you can do.
And you are speaking from experience when you say that, right? Because when you before you joined the academy, when was that? How many years ago was that?
3 years ago.
Right. So before that, is it fair to say that you had that mindset? You had that limited, or were you a bit more?
During the so like around about 2015, 2016, I'd heard on the grapevine. So a lot of the stuff I was doing was self-taught. So I learned about leases, how to extend leases, apartments. I learned about auctions. All this stuff was self-taught. I just loved studying various strategies. So I'd heard about rent-to-rents coming along. So I was aware that there were other strategies out there, but I never got around to getting on, to education till I think it was 2022.
Yeah. So tell me about that. How did you? We've mentioned the academy a few times, but some people listening might not know what we're talking about.
So the academy is Samuel Leeds Academy, and obviously he gets a lot of slack from social media and stuff, but it is undoubtedly the best place to learn about property. The atmosphere that is created in that when you're with him, his aura of how he carries himself, how he presents himself. And it's a family-run business. His mum's there, his brother's there, his wife's there. Sister's there, yeah. It's just amazing. It's very difficult to publicly try and sell something like that because there's so many elements to the academy that you just can't talk about, like rate my deal, quote my builder, the ACPP which you get at the end of the year, the winners on a Wednesday, and now they've started the High Flyers Club. I'm the first name on the list to join that. I'm super proud. I'm super excited, and that's going to be a quarterly meetup with Russell Leeds. And just talking about, where we are in our journey, what we can do to scale, and networking with people who are on the same kind of level as me. Yeah. So people who have got a few properties and they're doing various strategies. So that's going to be an amazing networking opportunity and learning from Russell Leeds because he's so knowledgeable about commercial property. There's another strategy, commercial property. No one talks about that. Commercial to residential, permitted development rights. Nobody talks about this stuff.
No.
I mean, you got people on social media talking about it, but your general public, Mr. Landlord, average landlord, is he watching these podcasts? Is he learning about these strategies?
Well, it might be, but when you just see someone talking about that on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, you don't. It's difficult to, because it's such a deep subject. You need to, there's a lot to know. There's a lot to know. You
Yeah.
can't just learn enough.
No.
So you only get a very superficial view of it from TikTok and Instagram and stuff. So you might think, seeing that on Instagram and things, you might think it's a scam, or you know what I mean. You can't really learn that sort of thing through that.
And it's like one of the first strategies that blew my mind when I joined the academy was lease options. And very quickly I managed to get a couple of lease options. Because for me, implementing a new strategy into what I already know is very easy. Because I already had a broad knowledge of property. So implementing that in was relatively easy.
Explain what a lease option is.
So a lease option is finding a landlord who may be in negative equity, like the ones in London I mentioned. So you approach them, say, right, what's your mortgage? You can't sell it. Tell me what your mortgage is. I'll take the property off you, agree a price, and I'll cover your mortgage. Any repairs, maintenance, I'll take over. And in 5 years' time or 7 years' time, I'll buy it off you when the market is more favorable, when the interest rates are better. Maybe it's recovered from being in negative equity to being in a plus situation. Then we can do the completion. And most landlords will be thankful just to get out of that situation. You're doing them a favor.
Yeah.
You can then go in and implement a different strategy where you're going to make that property cash flow.
Yep, fix it up.
So if you can secure a £500,000 apartment in London today, and they'd bought it for 700,000 a couple of years ago in the boom, when everybody was jumping on the boom. That's the 1 year I didn't buy any property during the boom.
When was that? Like 2000? Recently?
So when we just came out of COVID.
Oh, I see.
People were going crazy. They were buying property all over the place and paying ridiculous prices. So
Even in London? Because I thought people wanted to get out of London.
Sorry, say that again.
I thought people wanted to get out of London.
No, generally in Wolverhampton.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Wolverhampton?
Yeah, but it goes across the country. So people are paying over the odds for property because they've got money saved up while they've been in lockdown. Same thing happened in London. So the whole country, all the value goes up. It's now everything's overpriced. But the people who are uneducated, they don't know about property, they think, oh, yeah, buy now. You're buying too late. You're buying at the top of the market. And then obviously the property prices came down a bit. London obviously dropped harder. And so these guys are in negative equity. If you can take that problem off their hands and run it as maybe a serviced accommodation, you can make that cash flow, wait for that property to recover out of the slump it's in now, and then buy it as the value goes up. But you're going to agree the price today. So you're going to wait for that capital appreciation.
Yeah.
And it could be a joint venture. You could say to the landlord, look, we'll go 50-50 on the capital appreciation. Or maybe, how about I give you 10 grand up front today to secure the deal. So you've got that bit of, they might be really struggling for cash. They've got some debts to pay off. You don't know until you start talking. So
and making a deal like that has to be a win-win.
Yeah. So
you're looking for a win-win.
It's less
situation.
of this and more of this.
Yes. Yeah.
Listening to what their problems are and seeing how you can be helpful. How can you be valuable to them where it's a win-win for both of you?
Yeah, and because I think some people might think, when you describe a lease option, you say, okay, we're going to set a price today, but I'll pay you in 7 years. You might think, well, in 7 years, the property might have doubled. You're ripping them off. But what they don't realize is that their alternative is
bankruptcy,
probably bankruptcy or repossession because they're in negative equity. So, and if they've fallen into hard times and they can't afford to pay the mortgage, so it is a win-win situation.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. You're not looking to rip people off. That's not a sustainable business model. And
with the way social media is now, I try and document as much as I can. Just over the last couple of years, try and document as much as I can of what I'm doing. If you rip somebody off or you do somebody a bad turn, it's going to come back and bite you in the arse.
Yeah.
So if you just follow the basic principles of being a good human being and not being too greedy,
be valuable to
you'll
people.
make money. It's like The maths of it is very simple. Like, I'm not the cleverest bloke in the room by any stretch of the imagination.
I'm the only other person in the room. You might be.
I'm pretty thick, right? I'm not highly educated. I barely did my A levels. I didn't do a degree or nothing like that. So I'm just a common bloke. I'm not super sophisticated or anything like that. But inside property, I realized after I joined the academy, actually, I'm very intelligent. But yeah, and then just simple rules like just be a good person. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, because there are bad people out there and that give everyone else a bad name.
Yeah.
Bad reputation. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's what capitalism is all about. It's about, giving value to people. That's what the marketplace is an exchange of value. And, capitalism sort of allows, it turns, you could say, a negative character trait of human beings, of like greed, into a positive thing. Because if you want more, well, the way you get more in a capitalist society is you have to provide value to other people, and then they will pay you.
Yeah.
And
so in that environment, you will also get fraudsters, scammers. So it's up to you to decide who you want to work with, who's genuine, who's not genuine. Now, going back to Samuel Leeds, he gives so much value to academy members. Nobody can compete with him.
Yeah.
Like, literally, who can compete with the value that you get from that? How many people walk away from the academy and say, well, that was a bit shit? Not many. And the ones that do, and I've spoken to a couple, and I asked them the question, did you attend every Monday night mastermind with Samuel on the Zoom call? No, they didn't. Did you attend every dinner at Heathrow? No, they didn't. Did you attend all the networking events? No, they haven't. Well, then how the fuck are you going to be successful? If you're not surrounding yourself with these people and using the tools at your disposal, using the tools at your disposal, how are you going to be successful?
Yeah.
And people think that, Samuel gives you the knowledge. It's up to you to go out and implement that knowledge.
But it's not just the knowledge. I mean, help and community and networking. It's so much more than just knowledge. It's not a course.
Yeah. It isn't.
We spoke a couple of weeks ago, and we were saying maybe a good thing to do would be to go through absolutely everything you get on the on the academy.
I think that's a whole podcast in itself, isn't it?
Yeah,
what you get,
and because it is impossible for one person to do everything. I think, because there's so many things. Some things happen at the same times, and also there's so many strategies that you're gonna, the best thing to do is to sort of focus on one or two, so. It doesn't make sense to try and do everything. I mean, maybe, do all the online courses because they're there just to give yourself a broader knowledge, but you don't need to, go deep in every strategy. Probably the best thing is to go deep in one or two.
Yeah.
So, everyone is going to leave things on the table, but you're right. I've met a lot of people as well that just don't. But people think that once you pay the money, and it's like a gym membership, you think that paying the money is like the most important step. But no, paying the money is just the beginning, and then you got to turn up.
You got to turn up.
You got to be in the room.
You got to do the squats. You can't be missing leg days.
Yeah, exactly. So why do so many people think that Samuel's a scammer?
Because they don't want to admit that they were shit themselves. So it's easy to blame somebody else, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's your fault I'm not successful. Well, hold on. Is it? Is it really? Is it somebody else's fault that you're not successful? Your success is in your hands. Only you can make yourself successful. And only you can fuck your success up. Nobody else. So you get the knowledge, which everybody should do. Learn about money, learn about finances, learn about investing, learn about property. All the stuff that they don't teach you in school, it's up to you to go and learn that. And then it's up to you to work 12, 13, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, and make that a reality.
Yeah.
Nobody else is going to do it for you.
Yeah, the academy is certainly not like a get rich quick thing
100% not.
where you buy in and you're automatically going to get money out. It's education, and then you have to put the work in, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and yeah, a lot of people I think do get.
Let me give you an example. I was talking to a lady on the academy. She's recently joined, and she's very nervous. She's still learning. She wants to get a little rent to use a serviced accommodation. Very nervous about talking to agents, talking to landlords. And I said, I live a little bit far away from you, but I know somebody who lives very local to you, and he will happily go with you to the viewing, speak to the landlord, and try and secure the deal. Now that comes from being in the academy.
Yeah.
That's networking, where I can put two people together and make that be a successful union. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but
partnership.
They could. But even if the guy that lives there doesn't make anything out of it, he's helped her on her journey. He'll be repaid in karma by the universe somewhere down the line. So will I.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a similar thing. Just at one of the academy dinners, I spoke to a guy, and he said he's got some properties, but he wants to put onto some sort of a social housing contract. And I was like, oh, you need to talk to Yolanda. And he was like, who's this Yolanda? I need to speak to her. So I was like looking for Yolanda, and eventually found her, and told, and I put them together, and he was so grateful to me.
Yeah.
He came up to me after and like gave me a hug and said, oh, thank you so much for.
This is it. So that's how can you advertise that to somebody who's thinking about joining the academy?
Yeah.
How do you talk about that network? How people get together and make money?
But Samuel doesn't really talk about that.
No.
He just pushes the crash course.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why people think it's a course, because that is the first step, is the crash course.
The academy is more of a community.
Yeah.
Than just a course. You got to be part of the community. And that's where everybody helps everybody else be successful. To pick you up when you're having a bad day, to pick you up when you're having some trouble, pick you up when you've got some guest issues or legal issues or whatever the case may be, or plumbing issues, electrical issues. In the academy, you'll find everyone.
Yeah.
You put in the group chat, hey, I've got a plumbing problem at this property in Weston-super-Mare. Anybody nearby who can help me out? Within a couple of minutes, somebody will send you a link or a phone number. Yeah, call this guy.
Yeah.
You can't have that anywhere else.
Yeah, because when if you're a landlord or something and you're not in a community or a network, it's daunting. What if a pipe breaks and you get a leak late at night? You just can't. I mean, you have an agent probably to sort that sort of thing out, but you never know if you're being ripped off or anything like that. So, yeah, because no one can know everything.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things from.
It's all about networking.
Yeah.
It's how powerful you are as a networker and making contacts. So we run a serviced accommodation business, a management company, and we've got properties literally all over the country. Now, how do I find plumbers, electricians, handymen? It's all through networking. It's all through the academy.
Yeah.
If I was just Joe Blogs on my own and I wanted to set up a national Airbnb business, it's nigh on impossible.
Yeah, absolutely impossible. And the reason that these strategies are not what people fear, thinking, oh, it's a lot of work, is because they can be systemized. You can, get cleaners who can have your the calendar and see the bookings and know when to come in, and you don't have to think about it. I mean, you know more about this sort of thing than me, but that's what people just don't have any idea that that's possible.
Yeah. So if somebody could look at a property and say, well, what can I do with this? And they just can't figure it out. You can speak to more advanced people within the academy and say, hey, look, I got this deal. What do you think I can do with it? And they will happily talk to you and say, well, you could convert them into flats. You can do a title split. This could be a HMO. There's all sorts of things you can do. But it's having that community around you and people who are knowledgeable guiding you on your journey. Because without a mentor and a guide, life can be tough.
Yeah.
Life can be brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. And lonely.
Yeah.
doing something like that. Yeah.
So if I've got Samuel Leeds as my mentor, or any, a good mentor, right? There's loads of shit ones out there.
There's
as
a whole
well.
team of them on the academy.
There's loads of them. So I can only vouch for Samuel Leeds because that's the community I'm part of, and I talk about it actively. Here's another funny one. You'll see a lot of people on social media who are doing really good things, but they'll never mention they learnt everything they know from Samuel Leeds because they want to distance themselves from that brand. And I don't understand the logic of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. Who are you talking about?
Get me shot.
Okay.
But then there's other people who have not done much in property themselves, and then they go and set up their own training course.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a very short-lived business.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, the expression "a little knowledge is a dangerous thing," or the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think they know a lot when they just know a little because they don't realize how much more there is.
Yeah. I saw this funny Instagram thing, and he's a guy who used to be in the academy, and he doesn't own any property. I know him personally, right? He doesn't own any property. He's never bought a house, never done a refurb or a strip out or anything. And he's walking around, he's making a video like, we need to change this and we need to change this and this is what I do for my investors. And I thought, what a load of bullshit is that? You've just learned that a few weeks ago, and now you're making social media about how you do refurbs and how you buy properties and you do this with investors and that with investors, and it's complete and utter bullshit.
Yeah. Because you can do the training and courses and stuff, but that isn't enough. You need to have got your hands dirty and done it. And, there's a lot of things I haven't done that I need the academy and the people on the academy to help me through it when I get there.
Somebody said to me once, they said, give me £10,000 and you can come to my BRR project and, we can do like a earn and learn. And I looked at him and I thought, you dickhead. How about you give me 10 grand and I'll teach you how to do your job better. I've probably done 20 BRRs. Me and my brother built a house from the ground up, done extensions, wraparound extensions, 2-story extensions.
Yeah.
I've done a fair bit in my time. I haven't done developments. I haven't done commercial to residential developments or, built like fucking blocks of flats or nothing that big. I'm very small time.
But you say you have built a house, so you have done development in a way.
It's one house.
Right.
But I guess I could sit here and say, I've done development projects.
Right, yeah. But you're not comfortable saying that because it's the wrong...
It's one house we built.
Right.
It was a little 2-bedroom house. We built it from the ground up. But it's how much do you want to bullshit?
Yeah.
And how much do you want to be honest? How much do you want to put into marketing and sales gimmicks? I'm not selling a course. I'm not looking to make money out of you. Come and buy a course from me and I'll teach you how to do it. That's not what I do.
No.
I like to find people...
I'll send people to Samuel, but I don't.
Yeah, send him that way. That's his job. That's what he does best.
Good. I don't want to compete
what
with him.
I do best is finding the deal and knowing what strategy is going to work on that deal and how we're going to make all of our money back so we end up with a property for free. That's what I specialize in, whether it's lease options or whether it is, like now recently I've bought an apartment. We're going to extend the lease. It's going to have a refurb. It's going to have a reconfiguration, so it's going from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom. We're going to increase the value of it, refinance, pull all of my money. Well, I'm not putting any money into it. My investors' money, putting all the money out, but then me and the investor own this property 50-50.
Yeah.
And we're going to run it as serviced accommodation. It's on the beach.
So have you set up a limited company with your investor, or how does it work?
Yeah. So we... For every property that we own, we set up a limited company.
For every property?
Yeah.
Why'd you do it like that and not just have one limited company for the partnership?
Because when you want to sell, and then you try and sell a portfolio of properties, it's very difficult. Because you might have mortgages with different companies.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the value. So if you've got a portfolio and it's worth £1 million, no one's going to come in and say, yeah, I'll buy £1 million worth of portfolio. They're going to say, "Oh, I'll offer you 700,000."
Okay. Yeah, you put the cards in the.
Yeah. So
yeah.
if I've got one property, one limited company, and if I want to dispose of that, I can just sell the limited company. Whoever's going to buy it is buying the limited company, so they pay no stamp duty, or it's very small amount of stamp duty. There is a little cost there. I can't remember exactly how much. But it's much easier to dispose of one asset than having one big company with 10, 15, 20 properties. Makes no sense.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what your exit is. If you're thinking you're just going to keep these forever, then it might make more sense. But if you're thinking in the future you will sell them off individually, then packaging them into a limited company individually is a good idea.
On my journey, I came across such portfolios, and they were being offered 25, 35% below market value. They're very difficult to sell.
Yeah.
Who wants to buy, a flat here, a flat there, and it's spread all over the country? It's just a mess. So it's easier having one property, one company. You pay £300 a year for your tax returns.
Yeah.
It's easy. Keep it simple. Why you want to overcomplicate life?
Life
is complicated as it is.
Yeah.
You don't need to complicate business.
But then, I don't know, you do have to make sure you keep on top of the paperwork and everything.
Well, that's why you have a good accountant.
Yeah.
That's not my job.
Yeah.
And being a landlord, I've never picked up a spanner or a hammer. You don't need to know all that stuff. You just need good people around you.
Yeah.
A good solicitor, a good accountant, a good architect, and good builders. Surround yourself with good people. Then good things will happen to you. If you surround yourself with, I don't know, who can I pick? Which social group could I pick? Drug dealers, for example. If you surround yourself with drug dealers, what are you eventually going to become? Or even if you're totally innocent, you're in the wrong environment, and you get caught by association.
Yeah.
You're not doing yourself any favors.
Yeah. But
if I'm sitting with accountants all the time and I'm sitting with people who are in property all the time, what am I constantly doing? Okay, I'm giving advice and I'm helping, but I'm going to learn something as well in that process.
Absolutely.
I just want to quickly say thank you so much for watching or listening. If you are watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and a subscribe and all that, and subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review. All those things are super useful. But if you like what you're hearing and you'd like to become self-unemployed yourself, then I'd really like to build a community. And the way that I'm doing that is I've got a free mailing list that you can join. And when we record these episodes, they're going to be put out as live streams. So you'll get to see a little bit behind the scenes. You'll get to see the episodes before they go out on the main channel and on the podcast. And you'll get to interact with us as we're recording. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, head on over to the website, links in the description. And I look forward to chatting with you as we record future episodes.
So what are you doing now? And I guess we sort of got into it a bit, but let's go back to when you joined the academy. How what did it open your eyes to, and how have you changed your strategies since then? And what are you doing now?
Okay, so obviously the first thing we learned was lease options,
right,
and then serviced accommodation, and because my daughter, so the whole kind of journey started with Simon. She'd come to me on her 29th birthday and said, "Dad, I'm sick and tired of being broke. I need to make money." I'm like, okay, you've hit rock bottom now. Now let's sit down and talk. Because she went through this whole phase in her 20s where I know it all. I've done university, and the world is easy, and I'm going to do everything my way, and I'll learn from my own mistakes. So she did, and she ended up moving out, living in a HMO, and she was bouncing around from waitress job to waitress job, and I don't know, whatever bullshit she was doing. We didn't talk for a couple of 3 years.
Not at all?
No, not at all.
Really?
Not at all. And then, little bits, and then we'd fall out. Then 6 months.
So
we didn't
things
talk.
were
very frosty.
Frosty.
Yeah. Because I'd be saying to her, like, come on, you need to get your life together. And she's like, well,
It's frustrating when
I'm living my best life.
say that. Yeah.
I used to hear that dialogue all the time. I'm living my best life, being broke. So So yeah, so when she was 29, we had that conversation. I was like, okay, now you're ready to learn. Now you finally accept that I'm the one with knowledge. I'm the one with the life experience. I'm your dad, right? Dads know best, right? So we joined the academy. We learnt all the strategies. I gave her a director's loan of £40,000. With that director's loan, we went and got 4 or 5 rent-to-rents, and we set up our serviced accommodation business.
So this is after the academy?
Yeah, after I joined. So just before the academy, I was like heading into semi-retirement. So I had loads of time on my hands. I already had my personal portfolio of properties. I wasn't massive cash flow rich, but I had like, £1.5 million worth of houses. But the cash flow wasn't great. It was enough, for me to maybe retire semi-comfortably. So we got 4 or 5 rent-to-rents, got them up and running, and it was the worst time of year to do it. It was like November, December, January, February, and we were just breaking even. And it came to about
These are
March.
SAs then?
These
It's
SAs.
quite seasonal.
Yeah. So we spent 40 grand getting these 4 or 5 SAs. And yeah, service accommodation is seasonal. It's a 12-month cycle. So we set up the worst time of year. Come March, she's sitting there crying. She said, "Dad, we've made a mistake. We've sunk 40 grand. These properties are not working. We're not making no money. The company's broke." I'm like, if you give up now, that's it. It's all finished. 40 grand's gone.
Yeah.
You're going to be broke again. I'm going to be broke again, right? We have to keep on going. It will get better. So we did. We kept on going. And then because of the academy, people knew that we had 4 or 5 SAs. And they were like, "Oh, well, I've got an SA. I'm looking for a management company. Do you want to manage mine?" I'm like, cool, okay. So that's how the management company grew.
Okay.
We ended up managing about 25, 30 serviced accommodation units, all spread out in different parts of the country. And from the management company, we kept on taking on lease options and converting them into serviced accommodations. Took on a HMO as a lease option. We've recently taken on a 4-bedroom in Wolverhampton as a lease option. So I've got nearly £1 million worth of lease options. And I actually said...
And you're running these as... you say they're lease options, but in a way, it's the same as having a rent-to-rent as a service accommodation.
Yeah.
It's just you've got the option to buy it.
Got the option to buy it at the end at the price that's agreed today.
Yeah.
And I said this a couple of years ago. It's on the poster. Whenever you go to Samuel Leeds events, you'll see my poster, and it says at the bottom, my target is to get to £1 million worth of lease options.
And you've done that now?
I've done that, by the time 2024 drew down, I think it was in November, we done that last deal. So that takes me to £1 million in lease options.
But, I mean, there are, if you're talking about large properties, then that could just be a couple of properties, £1 million. It's not. Or
4 of them are flats. One's
Okay.
a HMO. One's a 4-bedroom house.
Yeah.
So there's about 6 altogether. 4 flats, HMO, 4-bedroom. Yeah, 6 properties altogether. So which are on lease options, and they come to about £1 million. But it's having the target as well. You got something to aim for.
Yes.
You have a goal.
Are you into sort of manifesting or anything like that?
100% believe in that. Yeah. I'll give you an example. In 2020, I saw a particular Mercedes, and I loved it. Fell in love with the style of it. I took some pictures. I kept it on my phone. I'd look at it all the time. Like, oh, one day, I'll have this E-Class or S-Class Mercedes. So that's your top-end Mercedes, right? E-Class and S-Class. I had a very lowly C-Class Mercedes, which for me, if you've got an A-Class, B-Class, or a C-Class Mercedes, you're broke.
I used to have an A-Class.
Yeah,
crap.
you're broke.
Worst car I ever had, actually. I think.
So those are what Mercedes designed for poor people to go around saying, "I drive a Mercedes," but they're the shit end of the market, right? A proper Mercedes is your E-Class and your S-Class, or your big 4x4s. So I manifested this E-Class, and it took me about 2 years. I then eventually bought something better than what I had on my phone.
And were you deliberately manifesting it?
Deliberately manifesting it.
It was.
Deliberately manifesting success, achievements. Now, this year, whether it's a wise move or not, I don't know. Time will tell. I said very recently on one of my Instagram posts that by the end of 2025, I want a Bentley.
Mm.
And I've wanted one since I was about 25. Fell
Okay.
in love with them. But I couldn't justify the cost. I couldn't justify the running cost of the maintenance of it.
Yeah.
But Simon said to me last week, she goes, Dad, by the end of this year, you are going to have that Bentley.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, well, why? Explain to me why. Why should I spend that much money on a property, on a house,
car.
and all the costs that are involved with it?
Yeah.
Well, it was your dream car. You've wanted it for 25 years. You worked hard enough for it. Even if you buy it, you keep it for a year, you don't like it, you're not happy with the costs that are involved in it, sell it. Not the end of the world, right? But at least you've given yourself a target, and you've got there.
Yeah. Yes, but don't you feel that things like that, these sort of signs of wealth, I think real rich people don't think about that as much as people who want to be rich.
Okay,
They.
I'm not buying a brand new Bentley.
Right.
I'm buying a Bentley which is going to be 5-6 years old, so it's already lost most of its depreciation.
Yeah.
So even if I kept it for a year and then sold it, what am I going to lose?
Yeah.
3-4 grand?
Mm-hmm.
That's not the end of the world, right? But imagine you bought a new one for 160,000, and then 3 years later you're selling it to Billy Kooner for 60,000. Who's the real winner here?
Yeah,
The
I
guy
see
who
what you
bought
mean.
it brand
yeah,
new.
so you
or-
still got that business mindset about buying
Yeah.
a superficial toy.
Yeah, so I wouldn't buy it out of a showroom.
Yeah.
I'm not that wealthy. Yeah, I'm just a normal landlord who can afford little luxuries and manifest that to come true.
Yeah. So let me change the subject a little bit. I know that you use social media a lot. You're posting on Instagram a lot. Do you want to tell the people your Instagram handle?
Yeah, so it's Billy Kooner at once. No, start again. It's Billy Kooner 17. I guess you'll put that down.
17.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll put that on screen. And so has that got you? Has that got you a lot of clients or?
So the first couple of years, Simon was managing it. She was like, just recording me doing silly stuff. The last couple of months, I've started managing it, and I'm still learning. I'm very, very new to social media. I am getting a lot of love from Academy members. They really like the kind of content that I'm posting, because it's just me joking around. It's just me having a laugh and a joke.
Yeah.
And giving a little bit of knowledge, and it's just me doing my day-to-day stuff. There's nothing fancy about my posts. There's nothing like I've got an editor and videographer.
No.
There's nothing like that. It's just me and my phone and just being.
I did notice
idiot.
a few weeks ago. I was saying to you before that you had a bit of a debate with Kane Harris about whether or not he's a landlord.
Yeah.
I noticed that I'm actually interviewing him next, and he's just arrived. Do you want to get him in? We can have the debate live.
He's not a landlord.
So I'm interviewing Kane next. So you might,
Mr. Kane Harris, the youngest landlord in the country.
Yes. So
I love him.
But you don't think he's a
Prick.
landlord?
He's a prick. He's a cocky little prick. But no, I love Kane. I think he's hilarious. And that guy, 5 years from now, multi-millionaire.
Yep.
And this is one of the things I said on Samuel Leeds Academy, on the Winners on a Wednesday, sorry. If I'd met Samuel Leeds when I was 20 years old, where the fuck would I be today?
Yeah. Me too.
I'd be 50 million, 60 million rich.
But was he even born when you were 25 years
No.
old?
I think he was probably about 10 years old.
Yeah.
But I'm still so glad that I've managed to do it in the latter stages of my life. But the benefits are going to be felt by now my kids
Yes.
who are following the strategies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's super valuable. And Kane, the dickhead, he's going to be a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
And I'm part of his journey.
Yeah.
I gave him his first rent-to-rent for free. We manage his essay for him.
All right. So you manage properties all over the country?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like how from where to where? Like, could you take one on in Bournemouth or?
Yeah.
So your strategy is nationwide.
Yeah.
And your system.
But we're not taking any more essays on.
Right.
We're at a comfortable level. that's not the business that we want to. That's cash flow business.
Yeah.
So that's fine. We're doing about 10, 12 grand a month just from that, which is good. And then we've got our deal selling side of the business that we make good money from that. Sometimes I give away deals. That's just because I've only got 2 days to get it filled out. Otherwise, they're going to put it on the open market. If I've got like a month where we know a family's moving out at the end of the month, then I'll package and sell that deal. We sell deals which are BRRs, flips,
Mm-hmm.
and we can sell them for $5,000 a pop.
Yeah.
Then we've got what we're doing with our investors, which is buying property, doing the refurbs on it, get the commercial valuation, pull the money back out. So that's something that we're going to be doing a lot of in 2025. So the management company, we don't need to or want to grow that anymore.
That's just giving you the cash flow
that's
to
giving
live,
us a nice cash
and now you're
flow.
working on things that are possibly a bit more with a long-term
That's
view.
it.
Now,
So-
if somebody is an investor and they want to work with you, just tell us a little bit more about what you would do for them and how they make money.
We would find the project.
Mm-hmm.
We would manage the project,
Manage the renovation.
manage the renovations. We'd sort out all the refinancing
Oh, do you do that as well? Mm.
with the brokers that we work with.
Yeah.
So we'd get the refinancing done, pay the investor back. He gets all of his money back,
Oh, okay. So yeah.
plus some more,
Mm-hmm.
because it can be, the value could be so great that even by the time you pay the investor back, there's enough meat on the bone, maybe 20 grand or something. Okay, then we split that 50-50. But yeah,
Right.
the investor gets all their money back.
Yeah.
They now own 50% of this asset with me, and we'll run it
So
as
you'll set up a limited company with each investor.
Yeah.
For each project.
for each
Yeah.
project, yeah.
Yeah.
And the plan is to do 1 to 2 projects with each investor every year for the next 10 years.
Mm.
So from now to 10 years, the plan is to grow my portfolio from 2 million and plus £1 million worth of lease options. I don't know if you can class that as assets, but I have that.
Yeah.
So from where we are today to 10x that, I want to be at least 20 million.
Mm.
I reckon I get to 20 million in 5 years.
Mm.
And then anything beyond that.
So are you
It's
looking
just
for more
bonus.
investors, or have you
Yeah.
got enough that you?
I've got about 3 investors.
Mm.
Yeah, always looking for more investors. Sometimes it could be a case of an investor comes and says, look, I want to put the cash in for a 10%, 12% return,
Yeah.
but I don't want anything to do with the property.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we do that as well. Or some people say, I will say to some people, well, if you be an investor and you, let's say, for example, you give me 50 grand, you can do a earn and learn where you're going to get a percentage, you're going to get 10% on your money in 12 months. Plus, you can come to any of our projects if you're curious about learning how everything works, then you can go away and try and do it yourself.
Mm.
So everyone's different, and you got to find what works for different people.
Yeah,
Some
because it's
people-
interesting because you're not really. There's a lot of people on the academy and outside the academy as well who are sort of deal sourcers and selling deals. That doesn't. It seems like that's not really what you're doing. You're doing.
Not our main focus, no. So we've done. We
You
have
done
a
that,
deal
yeah.
sourcing division
Right.
where if there's a property that is not suitable for me or my investor, we'll package and sell that.
If it's still a good deal.
Yeah, it's still a good deal, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, I wouldn't put my name to it
Mm.
if it wasn't a good deal, because the last thing you want is people talking on social media. I bought a deal from so and so and it was shit. yeah. But then that's not good for longevity of
No, of course.
of my career. And
No. But I just wanted to clarify that for the audience because when
Yeah.
you say when we find a deal that's not quite right for us, then it's like people will think, you know,
Yeah.
oh, well,
So
if
like,
it's not right for you. why
I'll
is it right
tell
for
you
me?
what, the kind of deal that is not right for me. It's a BRR project. It's a 3-bedroom house. You can make 40, 50 grand on a flip,
Mm.
but it's not an all money out refinance.
Right.
So I'm only looking for deals where I can refinance and pull all of my money out.
So you need something with potential to raise the value a lot.
Raise the value a lot. So the best one is like commercial to residential. But if along my journey, I find a 3-bed semi, which is below market value, and I think, actually, do you know what? There's 40 grand in this deal.
Mm.
I could package and sell that. I don't want to do it because I doing flips is not really my strategy, even though I am doing a flip literally right now. But it's not what I want to focus on.
No. It's kind of cash flow, really.
It's a cash
bit
flow.
more long term.
Yeah,
It's not monthly,
yeah.
but it is a lump sum of cash that.
Yeah,
you
so
can
if
then
I
use.
did like maybe 1 or 2 flips a year, that'd be great. But it's the commercial to residential, what we really want to be focusing on. That's where the real wealth is going to come from.
Because of the uplift. And,
Yeah. So you imagine you get something for 250,000, you do it, 300,000 renovation to it, and now it's worth £1 million. That's one property.
That's a deal. That's a good deal.
That's a deal. So I need 20 of them.
Yeah. Yeah. When you put it like that, I mean,
not
they're
hard.
not easy to find, but in 5 years you could find 20 of them.
Not very difficult to get to 20 million.
Yeah.
With the knowledge and the contacts that I have today, it's not difficult to get to 20 million. Without the academy, nigh on impossible. That's the difference of being in it, being out of it.
Yeah.
And the rest time will tell, because I document my journey. We'll see where I am in 5 years.
Okay, so if you are interested in joining the academy, I'd happily tell you a little bit more about it. Check the link in the description, and I'll be in touch. And you said the best place to get hold of you is through social media, through Instagram.
Yeah.
Billy
Kooner,
17.
17.
Yeah.
Yeah. Drop me a message.
Okay. So we'll leave it there.
Well, here's a funny one. Let me tell you this
Go on
funny
then.
one, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you get this. Has anybody ever contacted you on social media who's done no training whatsoever? And the message is, hey, let me know next time you're in London. I want to buy you a coffee. And I'm looking at this message thinking, why would I drive to London so you could buy me a coffee? So for you to pick my brain and my knowledge, which is literally worth millions of pounds, and you're going to buy me a £3 coffee?
But I don't know.
Would you do it?
I might. It depends. It would depend really on a lot of other things, but I do get a lot of satisfaction, and we've talked about this, like from helping people. So I'm happy to.
If it's an academy member,
even if it's not,
if it's an academy member, I will say,
yeah, because you know they're committed.
Yeah. So I'm basically talking about people who have done no education and they want to sit with you and pick at your brain and take out this immense knowledge that I've accumulated over decades. If they just want to know about the crash course, point them in the right direction. If they're on the academy, no problem. Come and see me at the academy dinner. I'm there in London. What is it? Every first Thursday of the month. You can catch me there. What I'm basically talking about is people who have they want something for free.
Yeah, but hopefully, this podcast is about reaching those people. So if you are interested in learning about what we've learned about and getting a taste of it, follow the link in the description and go to a crash course or the people are going to be able to...
It's the best place to start is the £1 crash course.
Yeah, but also people are going to be able to come to the Inner Circle events soon as well.
Yeah,
so, there'll be links in the description to find out how to do that. And
that's a great taster into.
Yes, and I would love to meet people who are listening to the podcast who found me through organically through the podcast as well. So, Billy, thank you for coming on the show. It's been great.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Okay, well, if you are still watching, thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up and leave us a comment. If you're listening to the podcast, make sure you're subscribed on whatever platform you're on. Leave us a review as well. All that stuff really helps. But the main thing is, head on over to our website, self-unemployed.co.uk, and there you'll be able to enter your email address, and once you've done that, you'll get invited to join us when we are recording future episodes. They're going to go out as live streams on YouTube, but not to the public, only to people who are on that mailing list. So if you do that, you'll be able to interact with us, ask questions as we're recording future episodes. I'll see you next time.